Okay. We're good to go.
Good to go?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Buenas, everyone. This GALC meeting is called to order. It's Wednesday, December 13th, 2023. At the time right now is 2:05 p.m. In compliance with Public Law 24-109, Guam Ancestral Lands Commission published the public meeting announcement for Wednesday, December 13th, 2023, the Guam Daily Post on Tuesday, December 5th, 2023, and Monday, December 11th, 2023. Director, roll call.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Chairman Eklevea,
Present.
Vice Chairman Magwanya.
I'm here, but I'm trying to get video.
Okay, you're present.
Okay.
Secretary Treasurer Cruz. Mr. Chair, Secretary Treasurer Cruz said that she will be logging in late, around just past 3 o'clock or so.
Noted.
Commissioner Camacho. And Mr. Chair, Commissioner Camacho said that she has a conflict of schedules and she will not be able to log in today.
Noted.
Commissioner Orlino,
Here.
Commissioner Rios. Mr. Chair, I don't see Commissioner Rios logged in yet. I sent him a text message asking him if he will be attending today's meeting. I haven't received a response at this time.
Okay, noted also.
Thank you. And Commissioner Wesley.
Here.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Chair, we have a quorum. We have 4 members present.
Thank you, Director. Also, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, everybody. Okay, we move down to item number 3, the approval of minutes. November 29, 2023, regular meeting.
Mr. Chair, Commissioner Rios just informed me he'll be logging in, but a little late today. But he expects to log in soon.
Okay, very good.
Yeah, here you go.
Chairman Ecclevea, this is Commissioner Westling. I'd like to move to approve the minutes, please.
Motion to
Motion
approve
to
the minutes.
approve the minutes.
Motion to approve the minutes by Commissioner Westling. Do I hear a second?
I'll second the motion.
Okay, seconded by Commissioner Lino. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any nays? No nays? Director, motion for the minutes passes.
Thank you, commissioners.
Okay, now we move down to item number 4, Executive Director's Report.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair. At the last commission meeting, I was asked to include on the agenda the issues of our FY24 budget appropriation. And I decided to include that, which is new business, but in my director's report. And so the following is an update on the budgetary situation for the commission and its for FY 2024. And as discussed previously at the last meeting, the initial budget requests for our operations amounted to $596,865, and the approved budget appropriation stands at $444,092. This presents a significant challenge for the commission, as it represents a shortfall of $152,469, impacting our ability to meet our financial obligations for the fiscal year. A major portion of the commission's budget is allocated towards salaries and benefits for our dedicated staff. In FY24, the commission's salary and benefits alone amount to $443,092, underscoring the critical nature of allocating sufficient funds to ensure the smooth operation retention of our talented personnel. To address the disparity between the requested budget and the approved appropriation, the commission has undertaken measures to manage these financial constraints effectively. We have explored cost-cutting initiatives and proposed seeking additional funding sources. As a result, a decision has been made to optimize resource allocation by prioritizing key areas such as salaries and benefits, contracts, office rental, stipends, and telephone expenses. And considering that salaries and benefits represents the largest cost, it has been decided to reduce staffing by 1 position, resulting in a savings of $34,323. Additionally, a reduction of $50,000 in contractual expenses is planned, leading to total savings of $84,323. But despite these efforts, there remains a budget shortfall of $50,448, which may necessitate further reduction in staff. We understand the impact this may have on our operations and regret any potential disruptions that it may cause. We recognize the importance of addressing this budgetary challenge promptly and prudently to ensure our ability to fulfill our mission and deliver impactful services to the community we serve. And attached is a breakdown, I'll summarize it, of the budget allocation for your reference. For personnel services are only funded up through the 3rd quarter of the year. And that's how come I'd have to reduce staff by 1 and reduce contracts by almost 50%. Personnel services alone, what is required to keep us operating right now for salaries and benefits be $443,092. What is funded is $326,935. Our shortfall there alone is $116,157. Operations, well, just alone contractual, we need $88,921. We funded that for about $70,000, and our shortfall there is $18,614. We will not purchase any supplies this fiscal year. We will not purchase any equipment this fiscal year. What we are funding under contractual will be for copier service, maintenance of the vehicle, audit services, internet services, advertisements, and publications. Everything else will be canceled out. So we're going to operate on a shoestring. Hopefully, when we finish our audits are required by law. We're doing a financial, towards the ending of one financial audit right now. Hopefully we'll get the results before the end of this month, knowing what our lapse funds are for FY 22. And the reason this audit is late is because Deloitte and Touche pulled out from Guam, and we had to put an RFP out, which took some time to get it approved by the AG's office. And we did get that approved towards June of this year, sometime around there. So it's with Ernst & Young now. They'll complete the audit for FY 22 by December. We're already starting the procedures to start the audits for FY 23. We hope to finish that by the end of March. If we have any lapse funds there, we might be able to make up the $50,000 by using any lapse funds, but there's no guarantee till we know the results of the audit. So as of now, we're operating on basically a shoestring. And so I have to reduce that one position no later than the end of this month. And so that will be implemented. The other, cutting back our contract by 50,000, that's going to happen almost immediately. But we'll keep us operating one way or the other. The other option is to reduce staff further by another person. Currently, we have, including myself, 6 people working here. By the end of the month, there'll be 5. And if I have to reduce one more, there'll be 4. So these people were instrumental in getting the Ancestral Lands Commission back up and operating after it was shut down for a while. I hate to reduce that by any person. So any assistance we can get. I mean, do we have the money on hand? We're not on the general fund. We're not on the taxpayer roll. We have enough money in our SID account for operations. We just don't have the authorization to touch any more than $444,396 from the SID account. I can tell you today we have over $1 million sitting there, and that's not including what we're going to collect throughout the rest of the fiscal year for a sustained income. So it's just a matter of legislative approval. So if I can get your assistance to do so, I've advised the speaker about this during the last hearing we had on this. I let them know during the budget process. I let them know what we needed. We submitted. The budget request was approved by the board and was submitted, but it was cut significantly by $134,771. And while most other government agencies receive hundreds, maybe millions of dollars over what they requested, they're on the government taxpayer rolls. We're not, and yet we were cut. I don't see any justification for that, except for the reason of reducing the operational ability of the Guam Ancestral Lands Commission. So yes, we will be reducing our staff. I've already seen to that right now. If you don't want me to reduce staff by any further, any more people, I need your help to lobby the legislature to look again at how much money we have in the bank, what's available to us, and convince them somehow to increase our budget. I mean, it's sad, but that's what's going on. And anything that any senator says that they weren't made aware of this, well, they were made aware of it. Okay, we told them what we needed. We did not, and we do not, we have never padded our budget. So, we operate off our own special funds, so there's no need for us to pad our budget. We know how much we have in the bank. Our funds are not in DOA. And it's just a matter of getting approval for operational purposes. So we'll continue to monitor our budget situation closely and make necessary adjustments as we go through the fiscal year. We'll keep you advised of that. So that's what I have to, to report, this update. Let me know if more information is required. Thank you.
See, Juzmasi, Director, in the report. For sure, somewhere the ball was dropped. I don't know if it's on our end or something, but
it was definitely not on our end. We made the reports, we submitted our budget, we lobbied, and I was told by the speaker, it's the law. Work within your means. So by doing so means reducing staff. I can do that. Doesn't hurt me, it hurts the staff who's going to be let go. And that person's been notified already. I just hope I don't have to do that by another person.
Yeah, maybe I was kind of like leaning towards our participation down there in the hearings, I guess. Let's see, any questions, board members? Vice Chair? There's no audio? I don't hear, there's no audio, Vice Chair, no audio?
Yeah, Vice Chair, you're on mute.
There you
Test,
go.
test.
There you
Okay.
go. There you
No,
are. There you go.
what law is there a specific law that allows a certain percentage? Is that what they're basing themselves, that the law does not allow us to move further and add additional funds for our operations and our staff?
Not that I know of. The law is the budget law that was passed.
Oh,
for
okay.
cut. It's the budget law. And if you all know, you've heard about that the Gov Guam has surpluses or collecting more funds than
Yes.
what was anticipated. And yet we're not on the general fund. We're operating off of our own earnings. This is in the Survey Infrastructure and Development Fund, which is our operational budget. We have over maybe close to $1.2 million in there, and that's without receiving, because see, they're based on sustained income.
Right.
We will reach the amount of sustained income throughout the year, but that's the amount we have in there. So while we're collecting funds that will exceed in this year the $400,000+, the way it was written was that that's the only amount that we can actually access. It was very specific in the budget bill. And we
Okay.
did advise them of it because they did have the budget that the board approved. If only they had listened to that and paid attention to it, we wouldn't be in this predicament we're in right now. But I guess if their decision, it felt to me, and the way it feels to me today, is that the decision was made to cut the size or cut down the operationability of the Ancestral Lands Commission.
Oh, no,
That's
because
the way it feels.
as of our last meeting, remember, I requested that we meet with the speaker and discuss this matter. Time is of essence right now. We at the end of this month and we're going to lose people.
We'll lose, yes, one. I've already started the process, so it's a given that's going to happen. I need to make sure that I protect the agency, the commission itself.
Okay.
Keeping us going for the first quarter as we have during the last fiscal year was taking a chance. And what I looked at now is that if I make severe cuts of what we're doing now, I'll still be short $50,000. But I'm hoping I can find that in our lapse monies, which we're allowed by law to use. But until
Right.
the audits are completed, I do not know what that amount is. So hopefully Ernst & Young will complete the audit. We'll have our exit conference soon. So that, and hopefully in FY22, we have enough funds to cover our shortfall. And if not, we still got the FY23 audit that we're required by law to go through. We'll be starting that sometime about the end of December when we finish the FY22 financial audit. And hopefully we'll complete that by March, no later than April, which will give us more money so that we could operate through the third quarter. But that, again, is assuming we have enough funds in our lapses. Until the audits are finished, I don't have that answer. So I'm taking action now. It has to happen. Going this far into it, I mean, and I did ask, but I was told it's the law, work within your means, and
Wow.
that's exactly what I'm doing. So
Furthermore, I think the legislature's on their Christmas break, right?
yes, right. We won't get anything from them until January.
Okay, I suggest we just see what we can do for our resources and our connects, see what we can come up with.
Start lobbying. That's all I can
Yeah.
ask. They
Okay,
don't take more than me. I mean, I've done the administrative side. We've worked on it. We've done our due diligence. We've followed through, and the response I got wasn't something I wanted to hear. So I was told, follow the law. It's the law. And so
Juice Masi, Director, you did everything possible for sure. Unless there's any further questions, let's move on. Any further questions for the Director? Okay, let's move down to item number 5, EDA progress report. Thank you, Director.
thank you. Thank you, commissioners.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman Clavea, and good afternoon to you, Vice Chair Laguarnia, all the commissioners. My name is Tony Ariola, representing Gita. Along with me is our real property manager, Diego Miola, Mr. Mike Cruz, our project director. And of course, we're gonna have later on after the Gita report, we're gonna have Mr. Dan Swavey from Smith Bridge, Guam, who will be addressing the board on the latest with the Polaris Point mitigation plan. First off, with the Gita monthly progress report, well, good afternoon to GLC Director Birch and your staff and everybody as well. The following is a progress report on Gita's efforts to manage land bank trust properties as required by Section 1 of the MOU between Gita and the GALC Land Bank Trust. First on the list is 10 and Weddingale Junction Northern Market, Route 3. Their monthly rent of $27,854.51. Their current outstanding balance is $1,772,776.77. Gita and GALC are currently exploring ways forward with Northern Market to address their arrears, along with the increased revenues for GALC in the long term, and work sessions are ongoing with that. Next one on the list is Apra Harbor Parcel 1. This is the Quick Space, tenant Quick Space. Their monthly rent of $4,029.02 with a current outstanding balance of $4,029.02. Their last payment received on November 13, 2023. Apra Harbor Reservation, that's the Matson Navigation Company. Their monthly rent of $27,733. Outstanding balance of $27,733, and their last payment received November 7, 2023. Lot Apra Harbor Reservation F12R2, that's the Transtil. Their monthly rent of $500 with their outstanding balance of $7,500, and their last payment received on December 4, 2023. Next one on the list is Dengisan Cable Landing Station. That's the AT&T building. Their monthly rent of $22,939.42 with an outstanding balance of $0. Their last payment received December 4th, 2023. The typhoon damage assessment claims are still ongoing with them. Gita and GALC are currently working and also drafting legislation and review by our legal counsel for their lease term extensions that require submission to a legislature for approval. As you know, AT&T is expiration on their lease expires September 30, 2024. Lot Apra Harbor Reservation F12, that's Smith Bridge, Guam. Their monthly rent of $8,800 with an outstanding balance of $0. And their last payment received on December 4th, 2023. Lot 10155-1, which is the Farmers Co-op Association of Guam. Their annual rent of CY 2022 and an outstanding balance of $3,728.52. CY 2022 is 50% annual lease payment of the amount of $3,730 that was received December 4th, 2023. Moving on to the Tizan properties, the Guam Environmental Protection Agency building, their monthly rent of $8,000, an outstanding balance, current outstanding balance of $304,000. Their last payment received on May 9, 2023. And as I mentioned this in the last meeting, we're pending their lump sum payment of $48,000 that was approved on November 9 through purchase order number P246A00943. I just got word yesterday that they remitted a payment via ACH direct deposit through DOA with the amount of $8,000, and other payments are still pending. I also want to share with the commission that I spoke with Serena, one of the reps. She had mentioned that they encumbered the $48,000, although it's not going to be lump sum, but it's going to be paid incrementally. Payment should be coming in incrementally and through the process of well, that's the way it's processed, and it's coming in through DOA, through ACH. They also mentioned that they also mentioned that the 3 payments of 8,000 that totals to 24 has been processed by DOA. That payment we should be expecting soon, should be remitted soon. Moving on down to also with the Agipa building, the typhoon damage assessment claims are still ongoing. Down on the list is the Department of Public Health Social Services. That's the WIC building with their monthly rent of 8,400. Total outstanding balance of $37,499.35. Gita received a lump sum payment from them of 42,000 on October 18, 2023. And also their typhoon damage assessment claims are still ongoing. Other items on the list on the F12 Polaris mitigation plan, and we're also going to have Mr. Dan Swavey, who will be addressing the commission on the updates of this. I'll just touch briefly on it. Smithbridge, Guam submitted the following price proposal for task order 1 that comprises of the price proposal for the biological survey. ARC Environmental Services was hired by SPG to provide biological study and field data collection on any endangered species of the premises of the 5-acre property. The proposal requires GALC board approval for rent offsets. And I did attach the price proposal and the mitigation plan for assessment report along with the report when I submitted it to GALC. On step 1, after the price proposal, step 1 requires the clearing permit. The permit is required to be obtained after the bio survey has been completed. The clearing permit is needed for vegetation clearing and property to identify any hazardous materials. And then step 2 will be the clearing. And of course, step 3, which is completed, will be the disposal. This concludes my Gita monthly progress report. And should there be any questions, please feel free to ask them. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to present the report.
Sinjus Masi Tony. Any questions?
Tony, will Mr. Swavely be explaining the mitigation plan in more detail?
Yes, he will be. Would you want him to
Yes,
Yes.
unless the commissioner have questions about other things, about the other items that you mentioned.
Okay, Tony, I just got a quick question regarding the lump sum payment with DPHSS.
Sure.
Does that affect affects the outstanding balance? For sure, right?
Yes. This is for DPHSS, Mr. Chairman?
Yeah.
Yes.
So
They-
with that in account, we still got the outstanding balance of 37, right?
That's correct, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, understood. Okay, any further questions? Oh, Commissioner Wessling.
Hi, thank you, Chairman. Tony, I'm just curious, I see on your report that its work sessions are ongoing on the Northern Market. I was supposed to be on the subcommittee. I haven't been notified of any work sessions.
Yeah, Commissioner Wessling, we didn't have one. The last I talked with, I don't see Diego on here just yet. Gita
Diego's-
is pretty much tied up. Oh, there he is. Sorry, Diego, I see you there. Unless you want to explain it, but Gita's had the plate full, and Diego was kind of like, for a while, he was actually the acting director of Gita. So we didn't have time to physically sit down, and Gita went through the process of coming up with their analysis. And yes, I agree with you. We should have a work session on that before a decision is made. But we do have Gita's analysis of the proposal from for Northern Market.
Okay, thank you, Director Birch.
Just to note, I also wasn't there for that last work session. I think there was a mix-up that I was actually part of that work session, so we both, that was only one work session so far, Director, so there was actually two altogether, right?
Yes, one previously that where a
Yeah.
decision was made.
That we all
back in
attended,
April.
yes.
And
And then
then
the last-
counter proposals, several counter proposals were made. And we decided to go forward with work sessions to see how we could work this out with Northern Market.
Okay, and the date of that last work session?
Diego, do you remember the exact date when we had that one?
Not the exact date, sir, but I believe it was early November.
Yes.
It was either
Okay.
early November or late October. Late
Yeah, we'd have-
October or early November, sir.
Yeah, we'd have to go check our calendars to be sure of the exact date. But we did have one there, and I believe Commissioner Rios was the only commissioner to show up.
Okay, let's understood. Okay, let's move on. Where are we at? Are we moving down to A, or are we moving with Smithbridge? Is that where we're at?
Yes.
Okay, Gita?
Mr. Swagley, you can go ahead and present, sir.
Okay, thank you. Real quickly, our lease called for us to start the investigation on the 5 contaminated acres out of the 13. Quickly after the lease was signed, we did so within 30 days. We ended up recommending and then hiring the firm of PCR Environmental, better known as Paul Packbeer's outfit, to do the mitigation plan with budget. The mitigation plan with budget is Smithbridge's responsibility to undertake and to pay for. Now, we went into this lease together, thinking that the 2008 environmental assessment of those contaminated acres would provide sufficient details about the identification and quantity of the hazardous waste in order to do a mitigation plan with a budget, okay? In fact, it does not. It does generally talk about the types of contamination in the area and maybe the types of potential volumes, but it doesn't give us the specificity to do a plan. So we had to back up here a little bit, and we have to go in there and actually do the assessment, the mitigation, the contamination assessment on those 5 acres. Stop there. Paul Packbeer has had experience in helping EPA apply for and receive what are called brownfields grants. And these are U.S. federal grants, which provide for both assessment and mitigation of hazardous waste. And in speaking with Gita and EPA, we thought, well, this would be something we ought to chase, because if we could get the federal government to pay for it, it doesn't have to come from GALC. Okay, so then that was involved a little bit of a cost here and there. I appeared before you at a meeting recently, and I told you, if you agree, Smithbridge will just take care of that cost to chase that grant, and let's see what happens there, right? You did so, and that task is underway. Now, back to the contaminated 5 acres themselves. In order to apply for the brownfield grant, we need to know what we're talking about. What's there and how much? We don't know. It's not in the 2008 report, and we just don't know. So we're going to have Paul Packbeer figure it out and chase that grant on behalf of all of us. But he can't just go in there and figure it out, because the site is overgrown, heavily vegetated. Diego and Megan and Albert Smith and I made a field trip there a few months ago, and you can hardly walk through it, okay? So back up again. Before we can even figure out what is there to apply for the grant, we need to clear the site with respect to vegetation. That takes a government of Guam clearing and grading permit. We're not grading, but it's all wrapped up into one permit, clearing and grading permit. We'll take care of that clearing and grading permit. We already started, actually, but for sure, Department of Agriculture and EPA are going to require a biological assessment before we start clearing, just like they do in every one of my other projects. Before we start clearing, to assure that there are no endangered flora or fauna on the site. All right, that takes another specialized eyes. Okay, so the firm that did the 2008 report is still in business. I use them all the time. It's called ARC Environmental. The proprietor is Randy Sablon. No, Joel Sablon. Randy's his brother, Joel Sablon. So we got a price proposal for them, knowing that they already have site familiarity, right? So we don't have to start the learning curve all over. That cost is $14,400. Now that cost is not part of the plan as we see it, because even if we knew exactly what was there, we still have to clear it in order to mitigate. So the way we're looking at it, that 14,400 is part of the mitigation. And my original purpose of today's meeting was to explain it in that manner and to ask for the commission's approval to move ahead with that, because before we incur any mitigation costs, which would result in rent offset, it must receive your approval first, okay? That was before I heard John Birch's dismal budget report at the beginning of this meeting. What I'm thinking here is that maybe we split the cost of the environmental survey, the biological survey. You're going to need it eventually to figure out whether or not you want to move ahead or not with it. We need it because we desperately need more land down there. We need that 5 acres. And although I don't have the authority to do it, I'm sure I can swing it. If you can just meet us halfway with that cost, we'll undertake the biological survey. It's only going to take 21 business days, so we'll have it in a couple of months, and then we can know, frankly, do we have a volume and an identity of hazardous waste that are just beyond our capacity to mitigate, or is it something that we can take step by step from there on? That's my wrap up.
Thank you, Dan. Appreciate it. We're very familiar with that mitigation part dealing with the fauna, because we did have a lease that we gave years ago, and they couldn't move forward with it because they needed to identify the vegetation the same way. So let's discuss it. Board members, that must be completed regarding moving forward with them to move forward with that Brownsville grant. So discussion.
Mr. Chair, I can also put it in the context of what kind of money we're talking about. We now have 8 acres. We're paying $8,800, $1,100 per acre, right? The grant's 14,000 something. So this the proposal I'm making on the table is you would lose about 1 month's rent from Smithbridge as an offset to complete the biological assessment. About 1 month.
Director, you have any thoughts? I don't see any issue. For me, I'm fine with it.
I'm fine with that too.
Um,
I mean, we have to get that done.
it has-
Best now than later. There are issues of environmental issues, and I prefer that we show that in good faith that we're moving to clean this thing up that was left by a prior tenant.
Okay. Commissioner, you're on mute.
No, I was just thinking when you said that we'll lose like a month rental, that's $8,000. Is it because we have to share the cost of that? You're gonna take that 8,000 and put it in for that mitigation?
Yes, they're offering for us to split the costs.
Yeah, 7,200.
Was that in the lease agreement?
No, in the lease agreement, you're responsible for all the mitigation.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is part of
We're
mitigation.
responsible for all the mitigations. Okay, I'm.
So
that.
this is a good offer.
But what, okay, at present, you're occupying how many acres?
8.
8, and you want to clear that contaminates in another 5 acres, right?
Correct.
And you're paying 8 for the present, and then additional 5 will be just 8 again, 8,000 per month?
Yes, our rent won't change. I'm just giving context for what funds the commission would lose if you pay for half of the biological assessment. It's about you'd be paying 7,200, we pay 8,800. It's just about 1 month's rent. So you have a context of the give and take there.
We're according to the lease, yes, right, Director, and Gita, we are responsible for the mitigation of
Yes.
Whatever.
we are responsible for it.
Yes, we are.
I wasn't
And
really.
offers made by Mr. Swavely that they'll take care of 50% of this one particular part of that cost.
Yeah.
So I have no objections to that. I mean, sharing costs is good for us at this time.
You're talking about the additional 5 acres that they wanna, that's the
Yes.
problem.
And Commissioner, should we ever get those 5 acres cleared, that's another $1,100 a month income for us that will go towards our operational budget.
Yep.
So yes, it'll open it up. I mean, right now they're only using 8 out of the
13.
13 acres. And so each acre that's open and cleared, I mean, when they're doing this assessment, if it shows that they can only need to clear not, 5 more acres, but only 3, that'll add more income to us. So I see it as a win proposition that Mr. Swavely is offering us at this point.
Okay, but the lease agreement is only calling for 8 acres, right?
No, it's for all 13, but
Oh,
until
13.
we clear
Okay,
up the other part of the property, and that leaves us 5 acres that are contaminated, or at least that we assume it's contaminated. What we're doing now, according to Mr. Swavely, is we're going to do the biological and environmental assessment of this, but to do so, we have to clear it up. We have to clean up, move the vegetation out of the way so that people who do the assessment can actually go in and assess the property. And that's going to cost a total of $14,000+. And Smith Bridge is offering to pay half of that. Well, according to our lease agreement with them, we should be paying 100% of that.
okay.
I'd also like to clarify that the lease agreement allows us to take over at the rate of $1,100 per acre by acre of that 5 acres. So
Yes.
it's not an all or nothing. If we can just get 2 or 3 uncontaminated, so to speak, that
We
works.
won't add yet.
Yeah,
Okay.
actually, the more the better for sure, but we'll take whatever we can get. So we are
I'm
very.
sorry. Can you clarify? Dan, what did you just say?
I said that there's 5 acres now that have been identified as contaminated.
Right.
Should the assessment result in some factual, some finding that 1 or 2 acres is okay, we can just move that stuff over to the other 3 or some combination like that. The lease allows us to take over those mitigated
Wow,
acres
yeah,
on an acre by acre basis.
yeah, that's
Okay, until it's all
We're
clear.
very
That's a big-
motivated.
yeah,
We're
that's
very motivated to get all 5.
yeah, definitely. That's a big plus right there. So it is imperative that we get this thing done and we approve this. Okay, Commissioner Orlino, you have any other questions?
I didn't quite understand how much more money you're talking about, Dan, about, if you want to take 1 to 2, 3, or if you could take all of it, how much more is that?
Sure.
This is basically, it's actually a one-shot deal on that, because on that particular permitting process that needs to be done.
You
So
just
that's
said-
a
you just-
one-time, we're basically gonna give out 1 month's payment.
No, I'm not talking about that. He mentioned something about money-wise. That's more income for us right? That's what you said.
Yes, I said that we are not paying for those 5 acres now because we can't use them.
Right.
But our
True.
lease provides for, if we can mitigate uncontaminated acre by acre, we'll take those into our inventory and start paying immediately at the $1,100 per acre. Or
Okay, That's what,
portion thereof, we don't.
yeah, that's what
So-
I want to know.
Yeah, so in essence, if it's not so bad, that they can easily just move whatever's material that's there to some of the other side of the property and they clear up 2 or 3 acres, they could start using it and leasing it right away.
Yeah, that's right. That's what I want to know.
Yeah,
That's our hope. That's our hope, Mr. Chair.
that's our hope too.
Here it is.
Okay. Okay, Commissioner Arlino, good?
I'm good. Thank you.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, so let's get a motion.
Mr. Chair,
Yeah, Vice Chair.
without any comments from any other commissioners, I move to approve the, as per Mr. Dan Swavely's request for the assistance in Guam ancestral lands, covering up for the $7,200 to move forward and with the mitigation plan.
Okay, there's a motion on the floor to approve. And this, Mr. Swavely, this is dealing with the company ARC, right?
That's right. ARC Environmental,
ARC.
Joel Sablon.
Okay,
Been around for 15 years. I use them. on
Okay.
many other projects.
motion by Vice Chair to approve the request by Mr. Swaley with Smithbridge. Second,
Commissioner Westling seconds that motion.
okay, we have a second by Commissioner Westling. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any nays? No nays? Motion passes. Director?
Thank you very much. We'll be in touch.
Awesome. Thank
Thank
you,
you, Mr. Swavely.
Dan, Mr. Swavely, thank you. Just Masi.
Adios.
Adios. Okay, let's continue on. Are we down? By the way, Gita, you're done with your progress report? Or do we move down to number 6, old business?
Yes, I'm done with the Gita progress report, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, we move down to item number 6, old business, A, Northern Market. Counter proposal continuance.
For the commission, this is Diego Mendiola from Gita. As you have seen, or this is more like a continuation from the last meeting. You have seen the write-up submitted by Northern Market. In a nutshell, what they are asking for is for continued deferment till they're able to get their construction completed, which they estimate to be the middle of 2027. This would, as you would expect, mean that their arrears would accumulate all the way up into that point. However, in payback for this request, they have offered to increase their participation rent from 2% to 50%. Gita ran the numbers on this, and if the commission were to grant that request, then all the arrears would be recovered by May 2029, and moving forward to the end of the initial term of the lease, which would be in 2064. In the long term, the commission will be able to get 51,733,000. Now, what is the alternative to this? The alternative to not accepting Northern Market's request would mean that we would look for a new tenant. Now, in order to I'm sorry, Commissioner Lino, did you have a question?
No, sir.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
Okay. No problem. I just thought you were raising your hand. Okay, continuing on, the alternative would be to, terminate lease and then seek a new tenant. Now, just for a hypothetical and just for a comparative analysis, Gita did made an assumption that is able to pay twice the fair market value, and begin, paying rent in 2025, would be an annual income of $720,000 a year, And by the end of the, for comparative terms, for the same amount of time, by the end of the lease would generate, the land bank would generate 28 million as opposed to 51 million. If it accepts Northern Market's proposal. So what the commission is looking at is, giving up on the short term, however, doubling its revenue potential in the long term. So that's pretty much what we're looking at. So, Mr. Eduardo Calvo is on the line to answer if you have any specific questions that you might like to ask. So that's what I have.
Thank you, Diego. Welcome, Mr. Calvo.
Hi. Happy to be here.
Buenas.
So, I mean, let me just say that we're at the point now with this project, which really started out much differently years ago, where we're just trying to salvage the project and really doing it to a large extent as a partner of Ancestral Lands. The economic times have changed. When we started this project, we had big box retailers that have gone out of business and then are bankrupt, Sports Authority, Toys R Us. When we were talking to Toys R Us, we were talking to a couple of others. Essentially, it was a lineup over at Waikele in a shopping center in Hawaii. We were dealing with their broker. But times have changed, and we have struggled to try to keep this project alive. We've invested probably over $2 million, not including the time and effort to do it, to reconfigure the project. And so the only way we can think to make this project viable is with the proposal we have, and with the recomposed tenant mix. We've called upon our network of folks to get some of these tenants lined up and committed to the project, but we can't commit to do this unless and until there's a modification on the lease obligation. We have a bank, I think a commitment letter from Community First that we've been stalling, where they're all sort of wanting to find out what's going on with this project going into 2024. And so with Community First, and then we have a couple of other sort of well-known tenants, including some new ones, like Daiso, who's going into the Donkey Village, is also committed to build a store up at the center. But it's all changed. It's no longer big box. It's mostly retail and entertainment, with restaurants and other entertainment facilities that are catering in large part to the northern population and the military bases down the street. And so at this point, we have a lot of projects. We have a lot of projects that we've put on the shelf because of the economy and what's happened over the last 7 years or so. And this is a project we'd love to see through because we're invested into it, and because we've committed to do this with you all, and it's going to be a high profile project that we think is going to be successful. But we just need to change the economics to make it work for everybody. In exchange, we're giving up our developer profit, which we would ordinarily not do, and but we're willing to do that because of where we are here, and basically just to get the project done and get it up and running. And so that's where we are. I think we're at the end of the line here. So either we do this or we walk away from this project, which I'd hate to do for a couple of reasons, but not the least of which is that we just don't like to walk away from projects that we've committed to and invested this much money and effort into, and to let down the Ancestral Lands Commission. That's not something that we want to do or take lightly. So we're asking for this modification to give this project a chance and to get it moving forward. And I'm willing to answer any questions or try to answer any questions you all may have.
Thank you, Mr. Calvo. Questions, board members? I know we just received the new stipulations in their counter proposal. I think we just received it today. But if you have any questions for Mr. Calvo. No questions? Okay, well, I just like to acknowledge that, yeah, we've been going through this with the Northern Market for years. And notwithstanding, we do acknowledge the hardships, the economic hardships, and the trend with the economic development side of things, with labor and rising material costs, the permitting process that they had in the beginning, that we understand that there's been difficult times with them, but we got a good proposal. This is a significant proposal. I think we should really really think about it very hard, discuss it. I think we need to director set up another work session. And then let's come to a decision. But I think it's a great offer. Let's just really go through it, fine tooth comb, and see the pros and the cons. But I like the proposal. Personally, I think it's a great proposal. But again, it's up to us in the board.
And Mr. Chairman, I'm happy to participate in any work session you have so that you can, see everything we have and what we've done and where we are, if you think that would be helpful.
Okay, thank you for that option. Appreciate it. Okay, so no further questions, Director?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, I agree with you. If you were looking at long-term earnings and giving up short-term earnings over the next 2-3 years, this would double, based on Gita's assessment, our income over the term of this, over the next 39 years. But this did not include the 49-year option to extend. I agree with Mr. Calvo that our economy is at one of its lowest points. We've had several major impacts that has hurt many retailers out there. We've all seen it. We've seen a lot of businesses that were here and were well known have gone out of business. The other issue that wasn't brought up is that today, the way things are with the laws of the legislature, this, I believe, is one of the last of the long-term contracts we're actually able to negotiate on our own. To move any further, if we were to end this contract, we'd have to go back to the legislature and ask for a determination need to go through another long-term lease. And because right now we're authorized by law to go as long as 5 years, and to be honest with you, we've been trying that in several other areas, and most people say they're not interested because they prefer a lease of 30 to 50 years if they were going to invest this kind of money into any project. And I agree with Mr. Calvo that a lot of the big shops have pulled out. We're lucky for those that have remained with us. And I do admit that the Calvos were known on this island for being very astute business people.
Yeah.
I mean, they've done a lot for the island, and just like other people, of course, even Mr. Camacho, he's well known for trying to, when they enter into an agreement, we all say his word is as good as gold itself. So it's up to the commission. I mean, we could set up a work session. I don't know how we're going to get through that during the Christmas holidays. And we could even have a special meeting on this one proposal if necessary. But of course, that's probably going to occur sometime in January. With Christmas holidays, Gov Guam is shut down, for several days, and it's hitting us right now. And that's why even the legislature get anything through them, it's going to take until January.
I think we could take a poll, Director. Maybe afterwards we could take a poll on the
yes, and I need to
if we can fit it in, or if not.
To fit in a
We'll take a
special
vote.
session or
Yeah.
a work session where we could sit down and actually go through the numbers and see if it's something workable. But we got to admit that I don't see the economy recovering significantly to at least 3 years or so. And hopefully we don't have any major incident that occurs out here, that would shut us down again. But yeah, we all took a big hit this last time. Everyone took a hit with the economy. And I gotta admit that with Northern Market, you know, from losing the H2 workers to
Yeah,
the coronavirus and everything in between, that hurt a lot of people in private business, and they risked their own personal finances in this. So I just want to advise you that should we decide not to go with this project, the next time if we're going to open an RFP for that property, it'll be for a 5-year lease. And with that, unless we get authorization from the legislature, we will not be able to pull in a project like this without the legislative authorization to do anything big like this. And that's been a problem for our other leases. Smith Bridge here by Dan Swavely was here earlier, and they wanted a 50-year lease. All we could do is give them a 5-year lease. We're now faced with that for AT&T, and I look forward to see how we're going to move on that. AT&T wants a 50-year lease, but we were only able to give them a 5-year lease. And now we're going to try to get the legislature to get an extension of that for another 50 years. That's coming up next on the agenda, just to give you an idea. And just like right now, we've been working with the governor to get her a lease or purchase of property in Barragata, and it's been going on for months, and the debates have been going on back and forth about that issue. And it's for 100 acres from ancestral land property. Just to give you an idea of what we're faced with, if we do end this lease. It's been like pulling teeth just trying to get anything beyond 5 years. So if we're thinking long-term, and if you're willing to go long-term, this is a good deal. But if you want your money to be in hand during short-term, then that's what the option is to end it if we seek to go and have short-term earnings. But just to advise you, for short-term earnings, we're going to have to go through a determination of need with the Guam legislature, and we're going through that right now to lease or sell property in Barragata that we've already authorized. And that's been going on for months, and I don't know how or what direction that's going to end up in. Your guess would be as good as mine. We've tried and we worked hard on that. So.
Yeah, and if I may, Mr. Chairman, just comment, I
Sure.
have a little bit of experience. We do a lot of work for other agencies who have actually tried to do some developments like industrial parks and like that. The difficulty with the 5-year term is that you can't build anything on a 5-year term. It always is going to be sort of a short term, the raw land for for storing equipment or things like that. But to build anything substantial requires a longer term lease. The problem with the legislature, and I understand their perspective, is that you almost have to be a single purpose lessee entity. Any kind of development that involves multiple tenants or development or a marketing to find tenants is hard for them to receive, because they don't, you can't come in there with any definitiveness. You have to take the risk that you're going to be able to tenant out the space. And that's the hard part with trying to lease out big parcels of land with the legislature. They want specific information about who that tenant's going to be and the lease. And it's just hard to do that these days. And it's really hamstrung a lot of the government agencies, not only ancestral lands, which has a lot of land or tomorrow land trust, but the autonomous agencies that have land that have been sitting vacant all these years. They can't develop it, unless you get a long-term lease. And it's like the chicken or the egg, right? What comes first? And oftentimes nothing gets done because they can't decide what they're going to require. And I mean, I understand their cynicism, but as a result, progress doesn't happen.
Just Masi for your comments, Mr. Calvo. This is an opportunity for the board with partnership. That would probably be our first project, project with a significant development partnership deal for GALC. Commissioner Wesley, you had your hands up.
Yeah, I just want to thank Mr. Calvo and Diego for getting to us the written proposal, which the commission has been waiting for a really long time. And now that we have this, I'd like to really move forward and schedule a working session as soon as possible, as the board had agreed and had voted to do, because we have, there's lots of things to consider and discuss. And anyways, so, let's, let's move to have this working session with the subcommittee that we established, okay, so that we can continue further discussions, within, that meeting, please.
Okay, very good. Yes,
Okay.
I agree, Commissioner Wessling. And Director, let's see, we can do a poll after, or if we can do a poll now, or shall we do it on the chat? We can do it in the chat and see what everybody can work out the schedule. We can fit it in this month. If not, it will have to be next month. Or if we can do a special, what is it, Director? You said a special meeting or special work?
Special meeting just
Yeah.
to discuss specifically, we do special meetings, it's specific just to that one issue.
Yes,
And we could
I
do
agree.
this. I mean, this is an important issue that we have to determine. And I see the big decision is short-term earnings over long-term earnings.
Okay, exactly. And I'd
Yeah.
like to recognize Commissioner Cruz. Welcome.
Thank you.
Okay,
And
okay, Commissioner Wessling, sorry.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
I'm not opposed to everybody just kind of after the meeting, everybody have time to look at your schedules. To
Yes.
see if we can do it. We don't have to decide right now and now,
Yeah.
when that meeting's gonna be, but that we do address it, okay?
And not necessarily to force it this month, Christmas time, but if people can fit it in and it's not an inconvenience, then by all means, let's see if we can do it.
Yes.
Yeah,
Thank
I
you.
guess that would be for the work session.
Yes, and
Yeah.
and if we, because I know getting the administrators here, Gita and or Ancestral Lands, once we get a commitment from the commissioners who want to attend on a specific date, we can set that up.
Okay, Director, I think we're good.
Okay.
Unless Gita, you got any other thoughts? We're moving down to B, unless we're done, Mr. Calvo? Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Merry Christmas to all of you and Happy New Year. Be safe. God bless.
Likewise, same to you.
Thank you.
Likewise, thank you.
Bye.
Thank you,
Just
champ.
wanna say-
Okay. Okay. Bye-bye.
Okay, we're still on item 6, B, AT&T lease renewal. Request.
Yeah, so with the, wait, hold on. Sorry. Okay, yes, with the AT&T lease renewal, it's as I reported in the last meeting, it's not so much a renewal as more of a request to the legislature to approve the term as the term in time that has already been negotiated with AT&T when we first negotiated their lease. And so we did this in 2019, and with all the terms agreed upon, the only thing left would be the beyond 5 years. Now, the first initial 5 years is going to end next year at the end of September 2024. So what we're doing is going to submit a draft legislation for the legislature to consider in order to approve the lease that the Ancestral has with AT&T. So Gita had drafted the legislation. It was included in your packet. And so, we're going to have our legal counsel take a look at it. If we provided it in, in case anybody had any, concerns. And so, we based it upon the efforts of Cementon Guahan back in 2010 or 2012. They had gone to the legislature to request a longer than 5-year term. They requested for 20. The legislature approved 30, which was nice. So, we figured that's probably a good model to follow. So we drafted our draft legislation based on that, and we can have the our legal counsel review or your legal counsel review as well, or concurrently, and then with the director we'll submit it to the legislature for consideration. So it's just an update to let you know what we need to do, and that is provide draft legislation asking for approval of the extended term beyond 5 years for the AT&T lease.
Okay, thank you, Diego. Yep, so in summary, yeah, it's just basically practically the same lease agreement, except
Yes.
now we're including the approval from the legislature moving move it towards a 50-year lease.
Yes,
So if
sir.
you have any, right, that's basically, that's what it is. We're moving forward, and it's in the lease agreement of GALC acting in good faith to extend the lease the lease.
Yes.
I guess it's additional every 9 year for every 9 times, right, or something like that.
Well, they have a number of options to extend,
Yeah,
and as well as escalations built into
and
the lease.
escalations, it's all in there. So basically,
Yes.
it's just moving forward with, and the language on section 2, that's basically in this this proposed legislation, right, regarding having to, is that's pretty much like a dawn, right? Somewhat. We're asking them to make it a 50-year lease.
Yeah, when we negotiated the lease with AT&T, we were looking for a long-term lease, but they understood and they agreed that
Yeah.
any term beyond 5 years would need legislative approval.
Yeah, so this proposed legislation includes that 50 year, correct?
Yeah, to approve the term that we negotiated already, and that is a 50-year. So
Yeah.
we
Kind
let
of like,
them-
it's kind of like mitigates the dawn or something, right? or
Yeah.
or it addresses that dawn. Okay,
Yes.
any questions? Any questions, Bart? I'm sorry, Director, did you want to have additional information?
Yeah, well, basically what you said already, Mr. Chair, and what Diego said is that the bottom line is the proposed legislation, which is on the very end, if you don't know where it's at in your packet, when you get to AT&T, all it does is it asks the legislature to approve an extension of the current lease and for this lease to go on for another 50 years. And it just restates that the leasee, who is AT&T, will be responsible for paying all the real estate taxes, which is normal property taxes, and any improvements they'll be on the property, they'll be responsible for that. So it's simply stating what we stated in the lease, that Ancestral Lands will act in good faith to request the legislature to move forward on this. And all we can do is the best thing we could do, and I recommend, is to approve this the request, the lease, the legislation, the proposed legislation to extend the lease of AT&T. They've been a very good tenant. We get payments on time. They're one of those tenants that you don't want to lose.
Yep.
And so I see nothing wrong with approving the extension. The other side of this is if we don't get this extension for AT&T, we will have to cut an RFP for that property, and it will put AT&T's lease agreement at risk. But right now, as far as we know, administratively, and I know Gita could vouch for this, is that they're one of the better tenants that we have at this point in time. And because you heard from, of course, Mr. Calvo earlier, that the economy is not doing too well. So these kind of tenants are good to keep. I would recommend approving the lease extension.
Okay, not any notwithstanding any further questions? We have any further questions?
No, just
Pardon?
to I got a question. No,
Okay,
just a
for sure.
comment. At the legislature, that was a hearing. I think, Ron, we were there, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah.
There is another cable company out there. Big time. But just to wake you up on that one, there's competition out there. They were trying to take out the Joey was there too. That's how they were protecting the submerged lands. Remember, Ron, Mr.
Right.
Chair?
Yes,
So there's another cable company out there that was approved.
it's the
And that's-
CLTC submerged lands, right?
Right. And they tried to take ours, but we were there to defend ours.
Yeah.
So that big cable company in the multi-millions. So just to let you know that they're out there.
Oh, well, since you're on that, I think it's still in the same subject. Do you have a quick update, Director, regarding that issue with the CLTC and GALC on that wetlands?
The problem, well, the issue there with the easement where AT&T is at, the easement does not belong to Ancestral Lands. It's still federal property. What we own is the terrestrial property, the property on the land and the property with the building on it.
But
That's
there's,
what,
I'm sorry, there's some land that's coming back, remember, and it's wetlands.
yes, it's supposed to include the cable landing itself, if that property is returned. And we did go down, the vice chair was there. We went down to make sure that that section was removed from the law that would transfer all properties or all revenues from properties returned for these landing sites to the CLTC. Because that property would be returned according, to the net negative
Yeah,
report
yeah.
to Government Guam, and that would come into being property owned by the ancestral lands, the agency, our agency here. And I
So-
thought it was unjust at that time for us to own the property, and yet any revenues we get would move forward, be transferred to the CLTC. But as it is
What-
right now, the property has not been returned, and we're still hoping that it will be. I don't
I
know
see.
what AT&T does for the US government and what their contracts are with them. I can't predict that if we should not move forward on extending this. I can't predict whether or not they have an exclusive contract with the federal government, and that's, with the federal government and of course the cable landing that's up there. Until that's actually returned to us, I would be very cautious about bringing somebody else in, not
Yeah.
knowing what AT&T does for the federal government.
Exactly. Gita, you might have some information regarding the status of that?
Well, sir, Gita has always been, an advocate for ancestral, as opposed to CLTC. We have always taken the position that any federal properties returned to Gulf Guam should go to ancestral, not
Yeah.
CLTC. This cable landing station, this particular cable landing station also links up to the the old Australian cable that AT&T also operates. That was one of the other properties that, we were hoping to get returned, from the feds, but it's not as of yet.
Okay, so we're still waiting, right?
Yes, sir. There's a lot happening in Washington at the, currently, and as far as return lands, they're more it seems like, based on the current geopolitical situation here in our region, more attention is on security matters at the moment. So they're still holding the property, the submerged property for the Tengisin, as well as the cable station, at the Tumon tank farm. So
Hopefully they just surprise us and, oh, look, it's released.
yeah, it'd be nice. Because if at that point, then Ancestral will be able to generate even
Yeah.
more revenue. But and so
Sounds good.
so Gita has
Okay,
always
hey,
been advocating for the interests of the of Ancestral and the land bank. So
Yeah,
that's
of
why
course.
yeah,
Vice Chair, thank you for bringing that up again, reminding us of that, si Jus Masi.
Yeah, at the same time, you're correct, but the 50-year lease, we will, I don't know if you guys are going to survive that, but we won't be there. That I won't, I know, I'm sure I won't be there. Just,
yes, I will, because I'm still very young.
okay.
Hey,
You'll be,
Mike, good to see you, Mike.
you'll be 88 years old.
Only.
And the rest of
Okay.
your staff, Megan. Okay,
Yeah,
any-
I'm open for everything, whatever you guys agree, but I
Okay.
just because those guys, when they came down, I swear, when I was there, what brought that to my attention is one of my nieces, was hired there. She was laid off at
oh,
I think was that not Docomo, right? And she was the top notch official there. I mean, and then all of a suddenly she's right there, right smack right in the middle of all that good stuff, So just to give you a rude
yes, si Jus
awakening,
Masi
so to
again
speak.
for reminding us of
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
That's
So
good. That's definitely
opportunity.
the topic. So we need a
Okay.
motion on the floor to approve this proposed legislation, unless there's other further questions on it, on the proposed legislation to extend the lease and actually turn it into a 50-year lease.
And this was supported by the legislature, correct, Diego?
Yes, sir. When we first did this lease and, with AT&T, as well as recovering a lot of, more of the back rent than we thought we would.
Yeah.
The speaker at the time, was very congratulatory towards Ancestral and Gita, telling us that, great job, guys. So
And to renew it, in support of renewing it.
Well, that's different.
at the time they were just happy that we did it. And,
Oh, yes.
yeah,
But
and
this
so,
one-
just by law, we just now have to ask, and, we did the lease, it spells it out that, that Ancestral's good faith effort, we would at least, make the attempt. And, AT&T understands that their extended term is dependent on the legislature's approval. And at the very least, we would request approval from the legislature.
Oh, okay. So this just comes from our end, and then it would eventually go to the legislature.
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right.
Yep. So as soon as we approve this, you're gonna finalize it, or is it in finalized mode already, or?
Well, that's for us, it's finalized.
Lalo.
And we provide it to Ancestral, in case
Okay,
anybody
and how soon does it go down to the legislature?
probably not
Well,
this month.
they're on break now, so it gotta be next year, right?
Yeah, after the holidays.
Something good will be in January. They're not having any
Have
session.
time, right? We still have
Sorry?
time.
Okay,
Just
motion,
Yeah.
someone, motion? Motion to approve the proposed legislation to extend the AT&T lease. The proposed legislation was provided by Gita. Okay, Commissioner Orlino?
I would like to make a motion to approve that a motion made by, my motion is to approve the extension of the lease for AT&T as per provided by Gita.
The proposed legislation?
Yes, proposed legislation for the renewal of the AT&T lease.
Okay,
To
motion
extend.
on, okay, motion
It's
on the
not-
floor to approve the proposed legislation from Gita regarding AT&T. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, seconded by Commissioner Cruz. All in favor? Aye.
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 Aye. Any nays?
Aye.
No nays? Director, the motion passes.
Thank you, commissioners.
Thank you, Commissioner.
I guess we move down to my item. Are we still, we're done with that, what item is that?
We're done with old business, Mr. Chair. We're new
Yeah, we're done with
business.
old business. I lost my agenda. It disappeared. So where are we at?
Number 7, new
Okay, number
business.
7. Which is the budget, right?
Yes.
Okay, we're
And
down to
Mr.
item
Chair, I
number 7.
explained that earlier in my report.
Okay, so do we need to? We don't need to go over that again, right?
Right, unless there's any questions.
Any
Mm-mm.
questions, board members?
No.
Are we on new business?
Yes, but I discussed that, I explained that earlier and I made a report on it in my report
Thank you.
earlier.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay,
and for the purpose of Commissioner Cruz, it's just that we're locked with the budget law, and that we are shortfall. So we're just gonna have to work with our means. But now I'm talking about maybe for next time, we gotta fight for our budget. Make sure everybody is included and additional again. All right, for the next 50 years.
Thank you.
Can I just ask a question?
Sure, Commissioner Lino, go ahead.
Where we're heading to with the rules and regulations that has been on the back burner?
The land bank you're talking about,
Yes.
those rules and regs. The bill is that will allow us to work on the rules and regulations is before the legislature. It was submitted November of last year during the 36th Guam legislature. It was not taken up. And then January this year, when the 37th Guam legislature took seat, the governor resubmitted the same bill. Until we clarify several issues, and
Yeah.
this bill would allow us to clarify that, we can move and start working on the rules and regs, but it'll be the repeat of the year 2017 when the board passed the original rules and regs, and it was rejected by the Attorney General's office because it did not comply with local law. So we have to fix the law first. And so we do have a bill before the legislature for that purpose. We just need the opportunity to testify on it. And if some senators or some of our lawmakers disagree with what was submitted, allow us to testify and make amendments to it. Once we get that clarified, then we can move forward. So it's now at the legislature and we're waiting for their response. I told them several times, have a public hearing and we'll show up and we'll testify on it. We're willing to work it out, even a roundtable type thing, to fix it. So that we can start working on the rules and regs, so we can start compensating our landowners who had their property taken from them unjustly.
Yeah.
So that's where we're at today.
Okay, because I'm looking at Northern Market, they're asking up to on May 2029, they're looking at all arrears to be paid up, but also they're looking for extension up to 2064. I don't know about that, but if I'm correct, that's a lot of money that they're gonna pay out. But so we need to think of the landowners. We need to think of them. How much longer? There's a lot passing, and if we just sit on it, there's nothing gonna happen. You said that we have to fix the law. How can we fix the law?
Yes. The legislature now has to be, they're the ones that will fix the law. The governor submitted a bill twice. The same bill was submitted during the last legislature and then the current one. And we're simply waiting for a public hearing now so that we could be called down to testify on it. Hopefully we can come to an agreement with the legislature on what needs to be done so that we can move forward. It's a matter of legislative approval. There were items that were listed. I don't have it on hand right now by the Attorney General's office. I remember there were 4 or 5 items that were listed that needed to be fixed. And that's what I hope this legislation that was submitted will do. But if our representatives down at the legislature don't agree with that, at least give us the opportunity to talk to them. That's what I've been telling those who have taught or asked me about it. I mean, this comes up at almost every legislative public hearing I've been at. A senator asked me what's taking so long, and I'd say the bill's before you. Call us down, testify on it, call a round table, have us sit around, all the commissioners and the senators, and let us discuss it openly, see what can work, how we can fix it. According to AG's office, until that's done, whatever we do now, I mean, it's going to be held back. So
all dependent on legislative approval, huh?
Right. We need to fix the law first.
Yeah. Well, it's already 2024 and just thinking about it.
Yes, we still have not gotten rid of the rules and regs that were developed by the commission back in 2017. We still have that. Hopefully we'll be able to just resubmit that if they fix the law. And that may pass depending on what the law, what changes in the law, if any, are made.
Yeah, because the New Year's coming up, their brains might just, switch and they could think of.
It's an election year. We have to all agree on that. Coming up is an election year, and this is a controversial topic, and too many of people running for election are going to be willing to touch it. That's a reality. This was the year that we had to work on it, and we were unable to get that through. So hopefully we can get somebody down there that be willing to talk to us about this. So it is in the legislature's hands right now. I don't know what else we can do to get them to call a public hearing on it.
Particular?
In fact, yeah, in fact, the sad thing is that they cut our budget for whatever
know.
reason.
Yeah, I don't, I'm sad about that.
Okay, let's move on. Thank you, Director, for
Thank you.
for that update too on the, it's with the legislature and it's very touchy. It's not an easy topic. We struggled with it for years. And the question of the beneficiaries is one of the biggest topics that's there. So
Yes,
it's in their hands. It's out of our hands. We already decided who we wanted it to be. And they can say yes or no. And the
And
governor
that's-
put in her proposal. So
and
that's
that
where it's at.
she included exactly what was written into the rules and regs.
Yeah.
What the commission wanted went into the draft bill. It's up to the legislature now to tell us if they agree.
Okay, Director, let's move down to public comments.
Mr. Chair, there's no one that I'm aware of that has asked to make any public comments.
Okay, so we move down to number 9. Or is that number 9? Yeah, announcements, next GALC meeting schedule next month.
Okay, for next month,
Notwithstanding our work session meeting and special meeting if necessary.
okay, then of course, what normally we have our meetings on the second Wednesday of the month, that will be January 17th. Unless you want to set up a work session a week before that, or maybe even if we can get one in December to work on Northern Market. The 17th of January is when
Yeah,
we
make it a special meeting just for that.
Okay, and we could push back the regular meeting like to the 24th or something.
Correct, please. Yes.
Or well, actually, it's 17 on, right? Vice Chair is still good because that's like
Yeah.
it's later on. 17
Yeah.
is good.
Yeah, no
Yeah.
problem with me.
For the regular meeting?
Yeah, and then we'll figure out if we can fit in the work session or a special meeting in between now and
In
then.
between? Okay, because remember with the open government law,
5 days.
it takes us about 2 weeks to get everything through.
Yeah, if we can fit it in, we could. If we can't, then we try it.
Yeah.
Yeah, or else we can set it up. Okay, so we set the regular meeting then for that. Oh, wait, that will be because Wednesday, the first Wednesday is on the 3rd, the
10th.
second is on the 10th.
Right.
So the 10th.
On the 17th for the regular meeting or the 10th?
17?
17th or 10th?
Yeah. I'll be off island in January, so 17 will be good for me because I'll be back by then.
Okay,
Okay,
Is
so
the
the 17th will be the meeting?
okay?
The regular meeting
Yeah.
Yes,
regular meeting.
Right.
and special.
When we're gonna
Uh,
gonna do that after the meeting, after this session, we're gonna
we'll set up
try
a,
to-
yeah, right after this, we'll.
gonna do a
we'll-
poll and see everybody check their schedules and see what's best for them and see if we can fit it in. Special meeting or the work session, if it's possible to fit it in this month. If not, we tried.
Hi, Jeff.
Oh,
I'm sorry, I didn't recognize. Yeah.
Commissioner
I'd like to
Rios.
acknowledge Commissioner Rios.
I came just in time for dessert.
Okay, we'll catch you up shortly. I'm here with you in the building.
Okay,
Oh,
Okay, so okay, are we good to go? We're good to go. So do I hear a motion to adjourn?
that's it.
Okay, motion to adjourn. It's now 3:41 p.m. Si Jus Mas, everybody. Gita, thank you, and staff members. Thank
But,
you, Megan. Thank you,
Joey, I have a
Three-
question for Joey.
Okay.
Joey.
No, but off the record, off the record,
Okay,
I
this
just I
meeting
have a
is
question.
adjourned. It's
All right.
3:41 p.m. This meeting is adjourned.